Okay, well, it is officially 6:03, a nice leisurely start to our July meetings, July 16th. And here we are, Environmental Commission, ready to talk some summertime stuff. So we can kick off with a roll call, Jackie, if you wouldn't mind.
All right,
I'm here.
Brown,
Here.
Colby,
Here.
Geyser,
Here.
and Martinez.
Here.
Thank you. Messer
Yes, here.
and Owens.
Here.
Everton's. Thank you.
All right, thank you. As far as the documents for this evening, I am pulling it up, but we should first go ahead and approve our July agenda. So I just need a motion and a second.
Move that we approve our July agenda. Second.
Nice.
Right. You ready for a vote? Okay. Brown,
Approve.
Yes.
Colby,
Yes.
Geyser,
Yes.
Martinez.
Yes.
Messer
Yes.
and Owens.
Yes.
And all right.
Yes, thank you. All right. And then the next item is the June 11th minutes. So presuming that everyone had a chance to review them, we're open to voting for them unless anybody has any commentary they'd like to make for him.
Move that we approve June's minutes. Right. Yes.
Colby,
Yes.
Geyser,
Yes.
Martinez.
Yes.
Messer,
Yes.
Owens,
Yes.
Albright.
Yes.
Brown. Yes. Thanks.
Perfect. Okay, well, we're at the part of our meeting tonight where we're open to public comment. I know that we've got maybe one individual joining us remotely, so you are welcome to introduce yourself, say hello, or we can address your question, which is there are no meeting materials published for either June or July.
Hi, good evening. I'm sorry, I didn't realize I could unmute myself. I raised my hand.
Oh, sure. No, that's great.
All right, great. So my name's Eric Ost, and I originally was going to attend this meeting to just follow along and see what you folks are talking about. Since I got your attention, I was curious if you had previously discussed the petition that appeared before the Plan Commission for the development at 2511 North Dunn. And so in endeavoring to research that, I looked for prior meeting materials, and I did not see a packet posted for June 11th on the Environmental Commission onboard site. And let me just double check to make sure I didn't miss it. Nope, there's nothing there. And then there's also nothing there for today's July 16th, 6 p.m. meeting.
Sure. Well, thanks for checking on that. First one,
go ahead.
The first meeting, we actually canceled that one, so there was no materials to post on that one.
And on June 11th? June 11th.
Yes.
Okay. All right. That explains it, because there's no recording for it either. So that makes sense. Yeah. Thank you.
Sure. And then as far as the
Tonight's, I looked that up right now.
Gotcha. And we're working our liaison for this commission is on personal leave right now. And so we have a wonderful member of the department volunteering to help us with our meetings in the meantime. So
is that Jackie?
Getting everything in line. Yes.
Okay. So Jackie, yeah, I don't see it on the website. I'm refreshing now. Okay, I'm refreshing. And then
Yes.
but my general question, if I was going to ask one this evening, is there a process whereby petitions that are for development that are going to be they'd be routed through, of course, planning and transportation, and maybe there's permits that are requested from Monroe County Building Department, but does the Environmental Commission receive, timely notice of these, and are you able to review materials and possibly provide recommendations or ask follow-up questions for those petitions before they're approved? That's my question. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a great question, and that's definitely something that we have done over the years and have recently resumed. I can feel Matt Caldy, my fellow commissioner, chomping at the bit to chime in because he's followed the plan commission pretty closely, including this development, which is one that's been on our radar for a bit. So Matt, do you wanna?
Yeah, so again, everything is a little bit different with our regular liaison on leave, but we are typically given a heads up about anything going before the BZA or the Plan Commission if it has involves sensitive environmental features. Also, a number of us individually are just on the city list where we see those agendas and petitions ahead of time, so we can also kind of scout for any that are relevant to our expertise here. So we became aware of the 2511 North Dunn one, I want to say back in January when it first went up, before it was revised. We discussed it some, a letter was sent to us by a member of the public. Ultimately, we decided not to write a memo, though we have written memos before and we are capable, we just, we stayed out of this one.
Did you, so Ms. Johnson is your liaison?
Correct.
I believe she also was the staff who was mentioned at the Plan Commission meeting as having visited the site. And I'm curious, did any members of the commission go with her to visit the site?
No, that was done independent of us. That was through her function there with the city. I heard she had 2 visits and designated that it was not a wetland, but we were not involved in a site visit.
Did you get a report back from her at one of your meetings?
Regarding that, no, we did not. But again, I'm not sure how that lined up with her going on leave prior to this second going to the petitioner going before the Plan Commission. So it might have just been unlucky timing that we weren't
Sure.
briefed on that.
But yeah, I was just following. You said that you had discussed it and decided not to send a memo or anything. I'm just curious what evidence you considered in terms of not doing that. And that her report might be one of those things. But I'm just more wondering about the general process. And I think you or your fellow member said that there is a normal process whereby you do receive notice and formally, and you're able to. Okay, all right, good. Thank you.
Yeah, and this is something that I think as a member of public coming in to chat with us, that's something that we're really open to as new developments or variances are requested, that as they do have environmental implications to them, that's something that it is on our liaison's radar, it is on our radar as we're able to stay in the loop for those petitions coming through, that we do want to be mindful of what is happening and where there are areas that we might want to put recommendations in whatever direction in front of the Plan Commission or BZA or whomever. So yeah, I appreciate you asking. Are there any other thoughts that you were having or wanted to share with us while we've got you?
Well, I'd like to follow up on this. I mean, use it as a case example. I just like to learn more about what kind of metrics you're tracking and whether there's any aggregate tracking. I mean, even if you don't write a memo, I'm wondering what kind of metrics you follow in terms of development, especially development that is, in this case, I believe it was Greenfield. I mean, of course, that was all clear cut at one point, but there's no structures on it now. I'm just wondering how you follow along, because one development impacts others as well. They're not isolated. So,
yeah.
But I'll follow up with you later. Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
And we always welcome letters from members of the public as well, just in case, we don't get briefed on something or we miss it when we're looking over the agendas of those other bodies. So you're always welcome to chime in at or between meetings. So thank you.
Oh, and that's a great point. The environment at bloomington.in.gov goes to our liaison and to our the individual covering it. Yes. And so if there's anything that you want to pass along, that then gets distributed amongst the commission so that we can take a look at it or decide if we want to have any conversation in between meetings. So you're very welcome to share stuff as things continue to progress. Great. Well, thanks, Eric. Are there any other members of the public? It looks like
Behind you.
Well, I know that, I'm looking up on the screen, it's like the screen is just note takers and other kinds of supportive technology. So for the folks in the room, hi, would you care to introduce yourselves or give say hello?
Most people here know me by now, I think I'm Justin Vassal, nothing really to bring to the commission, just kind of observing today, but yeah.
And I'm Zach Ammerman, I'm also from the Commission on Sustainability and Resilience. I was the main author among several others of the light pollution resolution that you guys are considering tonight, so I'm just here to observe and answer any questions if you have any.
Perfect, great, well, thanks for coming, great to have you.
Yeah.
All right. All right, well then, I believe we can move along to the next item on the agenda then, which is the report section, so. We've got commissioner reports that could include, if you're sitting in on any other commission's meetings, or if you're representing the EC in any other way. Or if there's anything that is not on the agenda, but you would like to talk about, such as biodiversity or habitat connectivity, or perhaps education and outreach, things like that, that might just be themes that you feel like talking about. The first one here is B City Committee update, and that's from me. That is, as you know, the city is officially, and IU both have been recognized as B City and B Campus USA. And it is a part of the agreement to be considered a B City is to have an active committee that is represented by different bodies across the area, and we are lucky enough to have the Parks Department being kind of that core piece of it. But part of it is also having the Environmental Commission have some representation on this committee. There's also folks from like Sycamore Land Trust and the county and all sorts of other great organizations. Shannon Geik was one of the B City committee representatives, and because she's no longer on the commission, it would be ideal to have another member of the EC coming to these meetings, being part of them. I can tell you that we, at this time, meet quarterly. I think it's the second Thursday of the second week of the second month of the quarter. So it's consistent, it's like 9 AM on a Thursday. And basically everyone kind of convenes here. You can also do it remotely. And we talk about just any of the initiatives that the B City group is putting together. There were a ton of things that came out in June as far as doing the bio blitz and the film at the library, just different activities in town. So it's not a huge lift for an individual, but it's a role that the EC has in the BCP committee. So I want to put that out there in case anyone in this moment will be interested in, even for a single quarter, representing the EC in that group. But either way, I'd love to have y'all think about it. Anyone eager to put their name down? It's a great group. It's very low lift, but I'll let y'all think about that. This is that thing where you just can't make, I'm not gonna call on you, you're fine. All right,
What was the quarter dates on that? You said again?
it was, I'm gonna open my calendar real quick. I believe it's the second Tuesday of the second month of the quarter. So I think it was,
Say if nobody's jumping at it, I can maybe swing it remotely.
yeah, and you usually can be remote.
But
as
yeah,
well.
by all means, everyone consider.
Okay.
Say what time we do doing.
Yeah, it's at 9 AM. Let me see if I can. I think I'm on the internet. Yep, okay. It is the second Thursday of the second month of the quarter. And I was just looking because I didn't see one on my calendar for this quarter, but I suspect they're just updating. Yeah. So feel free to let me know. I can send you the details, but it's a great group and it's kind of another fun little thing to be in touch with not just the city, but with a bunch of different organizations. We're all really excited about the status and increasing, pollinator protections and things like that. Great. Okay. Well, that was it for me. That was a, B City update. Are there any other, reports or updates from folks on the commission?
Yeah, I'm gonna talk about the tree commission.
All right.
Let's see. The urban forester's been focused pretty heavily on pruning as a major activity, specific at the Beeline Trail and the Jukebox Center. We have, so Bloomington has a homeowner assistance program for the trimming, removal of trees, and that's fully subscribed now with about 24 participants. There'll be, getting help from the city and financial help and pruning those trees. Our bicentennial tree planting is ongoing. I think we have like 325 trees planned for that, so that's really nice. Some tower repairs are going to be removed along Eagleson. In addition, there's going to be some ash tree removals and inspections planned. It has been a workshop announced for like how to care for ash trees and special considerations regarding those types of trees for contractors and the public on August 26th. I'll get you more details as we get closer to that date. Again, the meeting, next tree commission meeting is on Monday, so. And then new landscaping is also planned for West Third Street and College Mall medians. And this will involve about 41 trees planted there as well. Canopy, we got a report from Canopy that they've planted 248 trees, which brings, since for the month, which brings 805 total for the year. And as always, they're interested in getting more tree tenders or volunteers for their program, so. It's essentially what we got for the tree commission.
Nice. Nice, thanks for attending that. All right, other folks? Hi, come on in.
Yeah, I watched Ecos's meeting. They had a number of discussions around processes and whatnot, but the main thing accomplished was they advanced the light pollution resolution to a second reading, as I hope we will do tonight. Additionally, this feels like a while ago now, but I don't think we've had a meeting since then. I participated in the CBU's Green Infrastructure Tour along with Adam Fudiker and Heidi Brown. It was informative and great. So just wanted to put that out there. Those are my reports.
Can you describe what the tour was like a little bit?
Yeah, they went to the green roof at what's the name of that building? The Forge. I think it's the Forge. Yeah, right by them. Yeah,
Yes.
Right.
yeah. Same kind of park there, but looked at some rain gardens that are like right out of the curbs downtown. Went to Miller Showers. There were, I think, 4 stops, but basically to show various pieces of infrastructure and to kind of discuss how things work and how often they have to maintain them, which was a lot. So
Every time it rains.
yeah, every time it rains,
Every time it rains.
some of these things had to be shoveled out of any of the debris from the street, so.
And then that shoveled out stuff has to be shipped off somewhere.
So we don't have our own landfill. Yeah, it was very informative.
It was the two of you and Adam Budiker. Hey, what did you think was either like interesting or surprising or anything from the tour, anything?
Just the amount of maintenance required, like physical labor, shoveling out the grates, the filtered grates, because the runoff has runoff from cars, chemicals, dust, or runoff from construction sites. So you have to ship that off.
Yeah.
Get another step.
Yeah, it's so interesting how we've had different conversations about different ideas that people have of what we can do in the city. And it does seem like it comes down a lot of the time to love it. How will we make sure that for the next 20 years, it still works and we're taking care of it? So yeah, that's really cool that y'all get to see that.
Yeah, they did have kind of an active enforcement problem going on by Miller Showers where a construction site
Oh, gosh.
was causing some of their infrastructure to get real gunked up, so they were actively working that out. But
Nice. Well, cool. Glad you get to go. That sounded like it was gonna be really interesting. Was it just environmental, like, were there just the three of you, or were there people from other commissions, or it wasn't for the public, right?
yeah, no, there were some members of some kind of utility commissioner board. I
City
can't
of
remember.
Bloomington Utilities, the people that are maintaining the
There
infrastructure.
were, I don't know, 10 to 15 people.
Supervisor.
Nice.
Who else was there?
Utility service board maybe?
Yeah, I think there were like
Yeah.
4 of them, maybe.
Nice. Well, great. Thanks for the update on that. Are there other folks who have reports or updates or things that they'd like to share as far as commissioner talking points go? All right, great. Well, then we're gonna keep moving along. I'd like to welcome a member of the public. Hi, we just did our public comment section, so if you want to say hello or introduce yourself, or if there's anything here that you're wanting to share in particular, you've got 5 full minutes to do with it, what you like.
Hi, I'm Joshua. I actually came because I wanted to comment on that proposal that I read yesterday about the dark skies.
That's one of the things on our agenda, sure, yeah.
Yeah, so I've actually been doing my internship project on street lighting in Bloomington, and one of the pieces of text in there mentions about street lighting inventory, which is the kind of the whole run up ramp project. And I think I want to point that out specifically because without that, the project does not seem reasonable. It's like cargo for
Gotcha.
but yeah,
Okay, all right, that's great to know.
yeah, because basically, I did mention it in there, that Duke has their own inventory on their street lighting repair rule. And then the city also has their own, but it's like 160 lights and we have like thousands.
Yeah,
And it is a very, very, very complicated situation that street lighting is divided amongst multiple different people in multiple different departments, and it's not consolidated out whatsoever.
gotcha,
So.
That's- yeah, that's,
I just thought I'd come and offer what I found out.
Yeah. that's perfect. For the folks who are kind of behind some of the
Yeah.
language of the resolution, do you want to chat about that now? Do you want, I mean, it's like
I
next.
do have
action,
another
but-
thing too.
Oh, sure,
There was another aspect of that resolution that. I forget what the exact thing it was, but it mentioned the responsibility of utilities with street lighting. But I think it's important to note that Public Works is the one who does street lighting. So that would be Cheyenne, Bolden does maintenance, repair. Chris Smith, who she is retired soon, she does all the planning for street lighting. They died in. Another important person is Miranda Eber. She does billing, so I think if we're gonna do any sort of inventory, it's gonna have to be from billing, unfortunately. Because that's where all the data is.
Gotcha.
So it's gonna be like a backwards inventory, and it's gonna take a lot of time.
Interesting, okay.
How far along are you
How far along am
on
I?
the inventory or?
I have not completed the inventory yet. What I've been doing this summer is I've been interviewing staff members and writing a report on the state of the inventory.
Okay, what needs to be done?
Yes, so we basically just need a comprehensive inventory, we just don't have that right now.
Okay.
Which there are, I would say there's a lot, but every now and then there are discrepancies in billing. Whereas like we're paying for something like. And or like light poles aren't servicing, just stuff like that. So it's just like, since there isn't an inventory. And there's one person going through and doing it. That's the state of the situation right now.
Yeah, I was wondering about the Duke Energy portion of it, like.
Yeah,
What
so,
are the lighting today on? Do we need to talk?
yeah, so the way that works out is that, we essentially lease our streetlights from Duke Energy. And like, we don't, it's basically like a subscription service, like old timey appliance leasing. But it's on a 10-year scale, so you pay for the light poles and the light fixtures over a 10-year scale.
And then the city owns them after that?
The city does not.
Pay for it.
Yeah, Duke owns them and maintains them, and that's one thing that like a lot of people don't understand is that. Like we have view reports and people submit view reports about street lighting. Well, they actually need to go to Duke and submit it that way instead. But there's like Cheyenne, who does street lighting repair, has to manually go in and then make those reports herself every single time we do report. So. And also, it's a big guessing game of what streetlight is what, because people just don't have that information, and if you don't have that information, then how are you supposed to prioritize? That's also the issue of it as well, is that,
They're not labeled in any way?
like physically on the pole, it is,
Yeah, oh, okay.
yeah. And then there's like endpoints on the Duke Energy pole as well. That you can kind of like guess where it is. But that's not, it's.
Yeah, we looked at a fair amount of information from Duke's site, and I think there's some. this will contribute to the conversation for sure. I think we might have some more info on that as well. If given that we have a lot of members of the public with interest and expertise in this item, I would move that after staff reports here, we move the light pollution and dark sky resolution from new business D up to first in new business, like ahead of our idea and action requests.
I'll second that.
Jack, can we please vote on moving the a new business D up? Thank you. Very considerate of you, Matt.
We still have some reports first, but we'll get to it soon.
Yeah.
Geiser,
Yes.
Martinez,
Yes.
Schlechter,
Yes.
Owens.
Yes.
Albright.
Yes,
Brown. Yes. And Hall.
Yes,
thank you. All right. Okay, are you all? Okay, are you able to stick around for a little bit more? Okay, good. And thank you all for being here too. And you're all welcome to join us at the table when the time comes. It's great to have you sitting with us while we talk this through. Okay, well then,
Cookies too.
and there's
I heard
cookies
that.
available. You don't even have to do anything, you're just there for you. Okay, well then we're gonna buzz through the next section of the agenda and then we'll be able to get to that resolution and conversation a little bit. But as far as any items from the commissioners, nothing else cropped up while we were chatting? Great, okay, we've got staff reports then. Jackie, is there anything that you?
Rachel's still out and, I'm sorry, I'm sorry it's stepping out again late this week or this month. If thank those of you who sent, stuff to me, I did try to make those attachments for all accessible. We don't technically have to do it until next year, but just as practice, I reached out to, Jennifer Crossley about what kind of training everybody else is gonna get, like you guys are getting basic training on how to do it in, Google Docs, so we'll let you know as soon as I know. Yeah, I think that's basically it. Any questions, let me know.
Thank you, Jackie.
And I thought Nina was gonna be here. Her note takers here, but I don't think she's here, so if you guys have questions for her,
Will do, thank you so much. All right, well then, and it sounds like we're able to move through, yeah, the planning and legal then, and into the new business. Great, okay, well, honestly, y'all are welcome to join us at the table.
Okay.
I'm gonna turn this over to this group, yeah, obviously we kind of jumped into another part of the conversation, so feel free to lead it as you. Yeah, please do. You should have a cookie if you want one.
can I have your cookies?
Yes.
We need to. Yeah, designated snack position on the executive committee. Snack officer.
It's an important role. I've been doing great at it. All right, Carl, all yours.
So yeah, the members of the environmental commission who have been interested in light pollution have been working for the past couple months now with the Bloomington Commission on Sustainability and Resiliency. And basically the draft in front of us is kind of the product of that. Honestly, Zach, who was here with us today, put in a lot of work, perhaps even the majority on this resolution, so that we're very, very grateful. But we're kind of here to entertain any edits or suggestions that people may have. Essentially, the goal that we've kind of had in mind is to get Bloomington certified with dark sky to more or less reduce the amount of light pollution that we're kind of contributing to the environment. This has a lot of, I'm not gonna kind of rehash the whole draft, because I don't know if I'll do a good job and maybe we can talk about it more, but essentially it helps pollinators not to have so much light, it helps animals, it helps us as well, you know, we don't see the stars, it interferes with our REM sleep, and it'd be very nice if we can move toward this. It's kind of my thoughts, but I'm happy to open the floor to all of you. So
I wanted to comment real quick about the kind of unusual. Nature of how we're doing it, 'cause we're trying to do this joint proposal thing. Our goal, I think, is for us to talk about this now, and then if we have any questions, comments, concerns, to address those before we have a future joint meeting
Gotcha.
with both commissions, which hopefully will be smooth.
Yeah, so I think it'd still be of value to any questions or concerns we do have now to discuss them, but. In effect, what we're hoping to do at the end of the discussion is to advance this to a second reading, and then basically while both commissions are together in August. Entertain amendments then and hopefully pass the identical versions, so. Get everything we want to chat about out here, but also between now and the joint meeting. You can study up and decide if you have more input.
And Matt, I can interrupt, would the joint meeting be the second reading?
Yes.
Okay,
And I think tentatively that is
the 8th.
18th at 6 p.m. Tentatively.
In council chambers.
Yeah. Well.
18th, 2 days from now.
August 18th, sorry.
Reasonable concern.
Yeah, 48 hours.
I think on that.
Saturday,
Yeah, so I guess if anyone has questions, comments, or concerns on the introduction or the resolution itself.
Can I just, so
Mhm.
just to double check, so this was, I know that you all started working on this a few months ago, and I know that our commissioners were talking through, just kind of doing some research and sort of getting a baseline for it.
Mhm.
When it came to the resolution, my assumption is that we basically took sort of the groundwork that you had laid and reiterated it to a degree. Were there any major changes, or have there been overlapping drafts, or kind of how did that come about? I'd be.
So I wrote an initial draft, I had no idea you guys had been working on something as well, and so when I met you guys at the Earth Day thing, several of you mentioned that you had been working on stuff, so we should combine. So anyways, I came to the table with a draft already written, and we've gone through several different versions now and updated it substantially since then, I think, but the base is the thing that I came with and just added tweaks and things, and we've added tons of whereas clauses and stuff based on research that people have done, and tweaked the language a little bit. I think when I originally came, I had language that was more broad recommendations. And I changed it into explicit things that we could put directly into the code based on feedback we've had from city council members that they kind of want that. So that the idea is that they could basically just copy and paste this into the city code if they wanted to. Obviously, they might tweak things if they want to, but those are the main changes, I think, unless I'm forgetting something. Since we started, yeah.
I think the version that you have in front of you now is the exact same version
That we passed.
that we passed
Okay.
a couple days ago.
Yeah.
So we're working from the same point at this, at this stage, and the hope is that once we get to that joint meeting. And people in both sides can kind of have a chance to talk through it, things like that, we can sort of, as a group, introduce amendments and. Kind of having two meetings at the same time, one room,
Yeah.
right, in terms of voting and stuff like that, and then hopefully we stay in sync.
Yeah, that's great. Well, obviously, we've got the sort of question about the inventory and how we're thinking about
Yeah.
that and we can definitely jump into that, but do any of the other commissioners have points from the resolution they'd like to sort of bring up or talk about or ask questions about?
I just had a question that will hopefully be easy. I was looking through like all of the line changes to the code and everything. And what's the difference? What's a foot candle?
I'm gonna give that to Adam, the cable expert. Yep. I don't think any of us.
It's basically a measurement of like how bright the thing is.
Okay.
Yeah.
It is slightly, it's different from.
It's different
Yeah.
lumens, but you can convert them.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just trying to figure out
Well,
what the difference between
no,
like
you can-
5-foot candles and 0.3.
Yeah.
You can convert to lux.
Yes.
Lux and
Yeah,
lumens is.
it gets super technical, all this stuff.
Lux
Yeah.
is lumens over an area, if I remember.
Yeah.
It like takes into account like. It's the amount of light hitting a specific area.
Okay.
But foot candles is what are used to measure light trespass, so
Yeah.
light
Okay.
going from one property into somebody else's property.
Yeah. We're
Um,
just, it's basically a measure of how, how much light is going.
Where it shouldn't, yeah.
Okay.
Can you get an app on your phone to measure it, or do you need a special?
Your camera is probably not accurate enough to get.
We have light readers and nothing you can come in. It's already in code now. they're just proposing to change.
Yeah.
And so we already use the light readers to enforce the code cap.
A side question, can citizens use it if they have a question about their neighbor's sighting?
I mean, they'll come out and help you, you might order them on Amazon, they're not, it's not anything like crazy expensive.
I bought like a kind of cheap one for like $20, just I was curious.
Yeah,
Do those figure in lumens or?
they depend.
I think most of, you can just like hit a button to.
Yeah.
just change which unit it is.
Back to the proposal, it's just, most of the recommendations relate to what Bloomington can do specifically.
Yeah.
But, and what are your thoughts on like involving Duke Energy?
I mean, they would obviously have to be a player, as you mentioned, 95% of our streetlights are owned by Duke. So they would obviously have to be a player, but the city, what I'm essentially proposing we do is we would add something to our contract with Duke. Saying you have to set them up in a specific way. And I mean, they would kind of have to do that.
Yeah.
If they wanted to, yeah, I mean, so Duke would obviously be a player and they would need to be involved in the process at some point. But I think that's further down the road. If the city decides to implement this, we can start those conversations, yeah.
Do you know of any cities that have that kind of relationship with Duke for their energy?
We would be among the largest cities in the United States to have dark sky community status. There are others, in primarily in the Southwest that are approximately the same size as, but that's not Duke. So I don't know what the relationship would be to something like this. I'm just guessing that they're not gonna wanna lose the entire city of Bloomington as a customer, so they would just combine, I mean, they might raise costs or something, I don't know exactly how that might work. Because we would be the first in India. There's one other tiny town on Lake Michigan called Beverly Shores. That is a dark sky community. That's the only other one. I have no idea whether they use Duke Energy there or not. We can maybe reach out to them and see, but like I said, a very small community, yeah. So I don't know, we probably be in uncharted waters a little bit with this, with Duke, at least.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I was gonna add something, Duke does not like amend their contracts at all, like the
Okay.
contracts that we receive,
Mhm.
the city signs is the same contract that they would give you as an individual.
Uh,
And a lot of the language in there isn't even like, it doesn't even follow the law.
mhm.
The IURC imposes certain rules.
Okay.
But another thing, I guess my biggest concern with that is like getting them to change the language because they just like will not.
Okay,
So.
well, that's something we'll have to, bridge will have to
Yeah.
cross at some point, yeah, I know exactly.
And if we are gonna change streetlights,
Mhm.
is that cost gonna be on the city? Because if we decide to change a streetlight, we have to pay for it. If it blows out or it falls over, Duke will pay for it.
Mhm. Yeah,
So, I
I
don't
mean,
know.
there will be a cost associated with this. for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Long term, I think our energy costs will go down though, if we, but. Anyway,
My understanding is that. Regardless of the contract we have, Duke still would have to obey the UDO, like the zoning. laws, right?
yeah,
So theoretically. Changing the zoning laws to like reduce light trespass, they would
Yes.
still have to follow that,
Yeah,
yes?
so they follow the IURC, and then some things they are exempt from.
Okay.
Zoning, so we would have to verify, sorry,
Okay.
and we don't always agree with them on that, so then that becomes an issue. Figure it out, sorry.
Is that something that is sorted out in real time or at the end of 10-year leases?
Oh, I think my old mindset with it is gonna be different than like Chris Smith's experience in DPW, but it's like case by case, like when they built the substation here on Pleasant. It was like some things they agreed to do, some things they wouldn't do, they, in my experience, feel that they very much are subject to planning, both planning and zoning, because state-owned property isn't.
Yeah.
Other large places have been able to, or other large. Sort of, or maybe utilities or have been able to also be exempted, and they have in some ways. Because they're regulated by that person.
Your research on safety was interesting,
Mhm.
how it doesn't decrease or increase safety.
Mhm.
I feel like that would be one of the main primary arguments against dark
Yeah.
skies.
I anticipate that being probably the biggest hurdle we'll have to go across is the public's sort of. I don't want to say knee jerk, but yeah,
Say.
their. Public's perception that light equals safety. which isn't actually backed up by, by science or data or anything. But it's hard to argue that with someone who has a visceral emotional reaction to something. So how we're gonna cross that bridge, that's another bridge we're gonna have to cross at some point. And again, I think that, I mean, it's good for us to consider it now. It's good for us to consider a lot of this stuff now, but a lot of this stuff I think also can be. I mean, this would ideally go to the city council later. There's gonna be a debate in the city council if it goes there. There'll be more debate after this, and then that's when I think we need to have the conversation about how we strategize. Tackling the notion that light equals safety, and that I think is more the area we could go in, yeah.
Yeah, and I'd also volunteer that it isn't, we're not waging a war on light, we're waging a war on light that goes up.
Yeah.
So if all the instruments are properly shielded, so that the light is pointed down, if some can be on timers, if some can be on dimmers, there's a whole bunch of control theoretically we could exert if we have the will to make these changes up front. It's not about suddenly making scary places dark. It's about making sure that light isn't going up and affecting birds and bats and everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point, because we're not trying to eliminate all light, we're just trying to direct it to be the most helpful.
Yeah.
There's some we would like to dim, there's some we would like to change the light temperature on, there's a lot we would like to strategically direct, but it isn't about making Bloomington dark.
No.
I love that clarification. I don't know if we wrote about that in the proposal, but it might allay some fears initially to have some of that. In there.
And there is something, Dark Skies, on their website somewhere, we found this when we were looking into this. They have a photo of like a garage with a floodlight coming off of it. And with the light on, you see where the light is going, and they show another picture with the light off, and suddenly there's a man standing back behind the corner that you couldn't see at all. So your eyes actually adjust to darkness, and when you have really strong differences between darkness and brightness, it actually makes it harder for you to see things.
It's really interesting.
But it's hard to make people feel that when they feel that light is safety. So that'll be a challenge for sure.
I do have one thing to add about like the safety issue. I think it's good to acknowledge the difference between like safety, between like roadway safety and crime.
Yeah.
Because people conflate those together, whereas like street lighting doesn't necessarily affect like crime at all.
No.
There's been so many studies done that there's mixed results, like there is no direct answer. But there are studies that have been done that it does like increase safety, like for cars and pedestrians. Yeah, so especially in Bloomington with all the raised crosswalks, I know that like you can hit those going pretty fast in the dark and you don't see them. That's also a concern.
Yeah.
Other comments from the commissioners, just to raise any topics that we haven't talked about yet? Really shouldn't talk about the inventory thing, but.
Just kind of a question, you mentioned the temperature of the light, I know some people have very strong feelings on temperature of light on the inside. And I don't know how long ago it was, but they made that big shift kind of across the US from those yellowish, warmer lights to the LED lights that look bright, and everybody said I can see so much better. Is there a temperature that kind of is the best?
So this, in the packet that I apparently some of the photos got cut off, but I have a thing in there in the packet, I've got 2 copies, I'll pass this around. So the resolution would recommend, that one is very printed poorly, but anyway. The resolution would recommend, let me just hold it up for a second. So the resolution if this became city code, would say that the maximum color temperature would be 3,000 Kelvin right here. Many of the lights that were introduced in recent years, since the switch over to LED, is more in this range over here, which people hate, and this chart down here tells you why. I'll tell you that in a second. And then it would also impose a requirement, a maximum of 2,200 Kelvin for environmentally sensitive areas. So much more yellow, almost reddish light near environmentally sensitive areas. This chart down here is 311 complaints for bright, glaring, or obnoxious lights. In around 2022, the city started switching to the LED lights from the old sodium style lights. Yeah, there we go.
I'm gonna try to share it.
Cool, that'd be great. That'd be good. you can see right here, immediately when they started switching them, in the decade previous to them starting to switch, they got an average of 11 complaints about bright or blaring lights a year on 311. The moment they started switching, it shot up to like 100 a year. People hate these lights that are up, and I think genuinely this would be a very popular thing to switch to less bright, blaring, warmer color temperature lights. So I think if we can frame this the right way, genuinely will be very popular.
I mean, I remember the ones they put in on Atwater were like blue. I feel
Yeah.
like I was in a video game, and then
Yeah.
they must have been responsive to complaints because it did change.
They actually differentiated the blue,
Was it?
the blue lights, those were detective actually, they had all last century, they would turn blue and they finally went bad.
And I did do a couple, well, I also just did, some of the contracts are online on the city website. I also did a public records request for other contracts. Up until partway through last year, most of the lights that Duke was installing was in probably the 4,000 to 5,000 Kelvin range, which is far on the right end of that. Recently, Duke on its own has started, without the city requiring or asking, which we could do, that's what I'm saying. They started switching to 3,000 Kelvin lights. Because I think, and they did that on their own, I think because so many cities were complaining about them and starting to ask and require it, that they just started doing it on their own, which is why I think we should start asking and requiring things ourselves as well. So they are responsive to complaints. That point also is important to know because basically they're already starting to replace the lights on the normal schedule with 3,000 Kelvin lights. We would just need to add like a physical thing over it, pointing the light down is the only real thing. That they've already switched to 3,000 Kelvin for street lights. So just adding a physical cover of some sort, which would have a cost for sure, but I think it would be popular, over it. That's something that the city can do, or we can ask Duke to do. I don't know exactly how that would work. But that's doable. So
Is there a monetary incentive for Duke to use the brighter ones, or is it cost wise?
it's the same cost. The LEDs are the same regardless, I think. I mean, the really low ones might be more expensive, but the 3,000 Kelvin, no.
And I just think, this is aspirational, I guess, and who knows to what extent the university will want to comply. But I just also think there's a golden opportunity when we're lighting areas like the Arboretum or the Dunn Meadow or places by the tailgate fields up by athletics or something. We're at a university that's colors are cream and crimson. Like we could do redder lights in areas that are full of critters. And it would, I don't know, save money, pay dividends, look cool. I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of interesting options here. But yeah, primarily we're hoping that the city's able to shield and keep the color temperature from getting out of control on the lights, and it would go a long way to more pleasant lighting and energy savings.
And just to point out, I think the single strongest thing in this is a two-parter, a public warrant for lighting. What that means is it would require, the city would put something in its code saying, in order to install a light somewhere, you have to have a strong reason for the light in that specific case, and you cannot just say, well, safety or security. It cannot be vague. It has to be specific to that site. That's for all public lighting in the city. Number two, near environmentally sensitive areas, it would be, you have to prove that lighting is the only thing that can solve the problem. And this burden of proof would be on the city to prove that. And if they can get over that burden, that threshold, they would then have to use the lowest lumen count and the lowest color temperature possible for that site to solve the problem. And I think those two things alone would probably be the strongest thing in the entire resolution. Personally, in terms of lowering unnecessary light, that plus the color temperature and the shielding and things like that. Yeah.
And do you have any consideration about IU? It's going on.
Yeah, and we can't force them to do anything, but
There's a lot of.
The resolution isn't just to go to city council. There's a whole lot of bodies that it will be sent to, and there's, to my understanding, Zach's had some conversations with different groups, astronomy, a bunch of places that are interested in being involved.
And one of the members of our commission last night, or Tuesday night, whatever, how many days that was, had a good point that if the city adopts something like this, we could theoretically kind of pull them along a little bit. Like, once we show that it can be done, like the university could maybe be pulled along as well. So I don't know. That's a thought to consider.
Is there like a dark campus equivalent?
There are, but I think this would, I had a call with Dark Sky and IU would be by far the largest campus. I think,
Yeah, I think they're willing to assign status to almost anything that
Yeah.
clears a certain bar.
Yeah.
They have the
There's
Dark
a
Sky Airport, they
Yeah.
have the Dark Sky Stadium, they have like. If you can meet their standards, you can meet their standards.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think my way of
Right.
thinking about this one is on a sort of every little bit counts basis. I mean,
Yeah, for
we're in the middle of Indiana's Sentinel landscape. We're surrounded by state parks. We're like, if we can make the sky darker, it will be better for
Yeah.
the humans and the non-humans alike.
And
So,
on that point, so the goal of this is to give the city the goal of getting dark sky status. I don't actually care whether we get dark sky status, to be blunt. I care if we reduce light pollution. So this is one area where even if we don't get, it's good to have to give the city the goal of getting to dark sky status. That's good, but if we can't get there, and we only get 50% of the way there or 75% of the way there, we have still meaningfully reduced light pollution. So the dark sky thing is just a thing, like a cherry on top to make this, like to dangle in front of the city a little bit. To try to maybe, anyway, we could put a sign in front of our, as people come into this, the thing the city likes, but. Anyway,
Do you have a sense of if the status would be more of a driver than the improved quality of
I think it can be both,
nature?
it can be both.
Yeah.
And it
As
depends on
far
who you're
as far
asking.
as receiving it, as far as pitching it and it like leading with, this is what we're trying to accomplish, do you feel like the status would be something that people would be more brought in by than it's good for it's good for the people and the.
Unfortunately, I think for some people it would be the former, they would rather have be able to say that they got a sign to put on the front of the city, like when you come to the city, for certain, it depends on who you're talking to. I
Yeah,
think.
yeah,
For me, I care about the latter more, but.
yeah.
I think most of us probably do, but.
Yeah, I was thinking about just even just simple things like the title, like minimalizing light pollution, attaining dark sky certification, and just thinking whose brains, whose eyes, would respond to either of those and what would be the immediate butts that
Yeah.
come with, either of those.
yeah, it's likely not gonna be, perfect for any one individual, but there was a lot of consideration given between titles, whereas clauses, so they're trying to see, what moves who. It was,
Yeah,
many iterations, we arrived at
yeah,
this.
yeah,
There's also this really interesting point about how the lower amount of light will actually reduce the like severe pollen season, which I feel is like a big sell here.
Yeah,
That's the one.
It's like, even if you don't care about the animals they're doing,
Yeah.
It's
like shocking, I was kind of shocked by how much. Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah, here,
let's change the title to that.
Yeah, lowering pollen.
yeah, hearing how much artificial light extended
Yeah.
the pollen season it wasn't a surprise it happened, it was a surprise it was by nearly 2 months.
Yeah.
It was,
Yeah.
it was just.
Like it was on average 3 days.
Yeah, it was a crazy.
With-
Neighborhood competitions, dark sky neighborhoods, I think, what do you guys?
Yeah, it could be the darkest, yeah.
Yeah.
If the neighborhood association does.
Give them something good.
Think, wanna move that we, advance this resolution to a second reader.
Second.
Could-
Oh, okay. Julia,
Go ahead.
unsecond.
Wait, who moved?
I did.
Thank you.
I don't mind hearing your thought there.
Yeah, sorry.
Well, I just want to revisit the inventory piece, yeah, just because I think that could be a huge. Either stopping point or
Yeah.
a sticking point as far as how much. this is
So
gonna-
under section 2A, the first thing that it says there in the general recommendation is recommending a full inventory of all city-owned lights, because as you said, it's kind of a cluster right now. Duke does own about 95% of the lights. From what we can find, you found a data set, I found it, I did a public records request for a data set, we see 2 separate ones from the city that do not match. We found one from Duke that doesn't have the same lights that are in the other 2 data sets, so it's just, they're all over the place. And so absolutely the city should have an inventory of its lights, and that needs to be like the first thing they do. And so that would have a cost, obviously, but I think the city would benefit from knowing where the lights are and where.
There is a cost to not
Yeah,
knowing this information.
as you mentioned, like we're paying for things that aren't actually there in some spots, like, yeah,
One person who's doing it,
yeah.
who's assigned to that.
Yeah, well, we would need to invest more in it, obviously, to do a full inventory, but long term, I think the city would benefit enormously from knowing where the actual lights are.
Even divorced from light efficiency,
Yeah.
like, they should know, this is just
Yeah.
about government efficiency.
Yeah.
It's, I don't know, it's crazy to me that we don't have a
Yeah,
An inventory list.
yeah, the city's own inventory showed, like, they sent me a map showing, here's where all the streetlights are in the city. And then I found another one that said, here's where all the streetlights are in the city, and they don't, there's like 0% overlap between them. And then none of them include any of the lights in the park, and park lights. So it's like, that's a completely different data set floating somewhere, I have no idea where. And then Duke Energy had, we pulled from their website, just thanks to Justin, all the data from that, and it only matched on it had all of the Duke lights, but then only some of the city lights were on there, it's marked as city light, anyway, it's just we don't know where the lights are.
It sounds like there's not an active requirement for us to have a full light,
Yeah.
streetlight inventory. It's just a thing on a list that we're getting to as quickly as we can with a single person.
Yeah.
Doing multiple things.
So some of these like shed some light on this.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah.
As the resolution goes, it's recommended actions.
Yeah.
Yeah, they might not choose to do all of them. The main reason I was pushing it to a vote is we have a fair amount of agenda left, and there's still a whole month worth of time to scour over the document, plan any potential language you might want for an amendment. And such, so, yeah, I don't wanna cut anyone off, though. Is there like a new important thought before I move once again?
My concern is like how long that's gonna take in inventory, like there's thousands of them. It's gonna take months, maybe even more than a year.
This calls for asking for 70% compliance within 3 years and full compliance within 5 years, so you would have several years to get there. At least it's according to this timeline that I kind of laid out based on dark skies requirements, so we would have a couple years. But yes, it would be a large scale, yeah. Large scale undertaking.
And as Zach previously mentioned, if those benchmarks aren't hit by that time, we're still reducing light pollution.
Yeah.
So,
Gotta ask, what were I'm trying, been looking at a map this whole time of where a lot of the dark sky places are and trying to figure out. Where else besides Flagstaff are like kind of the bigger cities? Cause I was curious, because it looks like Flagstaff is ground zero for this.
I think it was.
So there aren't really I was trying to figure out if there were other examples of like cities that came into this that had to do the conversion thing versus like Flagstaff is like, oh, we invented this place.
right,
So,
They had to do the conversion, what do you mean?
well, it looks like Flagstaff was the very first dark sky,
Mhm.
like that's where all that stuff, but like a bigger city that's like kind of going through older.
Bigger cities, we would
Trying
be,
to figure out like. What was the process that they went through of like getting their lights converted and all of that kind of stuff, like if there were examples we could. Talk to or pull from, but if it's only Flagstaff, I don't know.
would be among the mix, yeah.
Yeah,
I think we'd be placing the trail.
is everything else, it's like, when I was like poking through, it looked like it was like. Even more urban places, it was like tiny
Yeah.
suburbs.
They are.
like light pollution first, dark sky second, you know, it's again, it may not even be technically feasible, just given the light that comes off of Indy.
Yeah,
But still, we're trying to do our part.
yeah.
Yeah, achieving status is the cherry on top.
Yeah.
This is all very helpful.
Yeah.
As far as I think that, I mean, I understand that you all have been talking to lots of different folks in different ways. Just while we have you here, as far as like any thoughts that you want to share with us before we move to the next item, are there any other things that you would recommend that I don't know if you've had the chance to read, I don't think our documents were up, on the web just yet, but are there any other thoughts that we've not discussed that you would like us to kind of keep in mind as we start getting together to discuss this?
Knowing who the city staff are that do the lighting.
Yeah.
There's a few people that do it. I don't know if you got that down earlier,
Mhm.
but.
And-
Talking to those people, because they're probably gonna be the ones that have to do this. Unless they get someone.
Or interns.
Join.
It sounds like a good GIS project for the university, get a group of students together, drive around on their bikes with GIS, take all the points.
Well, it can be crowdsourced in other ways too, like my neighborhood association, quite literally just mapped all the streetlights in our neighborhood, that could be given to the city. I'm sure we could get maybe some citizen collaboration, which would be maybe use the burden in some capacity.
And IU Astronomy is here, they might be willing to help. I did reach out to them about, because it's part of the, to get dark sky certification, you have to have a regular sky light monitoring program. So I did reach out to them to see if they would be theoretically interested in handling that, they obviously didn't firmly commit to it, but they were very on board with the idea, so maybe we could lasso them somehow to.
You know, when we were doing when they were preparing the climate action plan, we're doing the heat mapping and things like that. That was something where the city sort of coordinated it, but then had volunteers come in and drive around or, you know, put things up or whatever. So that is kind of an interesting idea of if this is something where the inventory is just not feasible with a single employee for a single department.
Yeah.
Thinking about how can neighborhoods or individuals who are interested in participating be volunteer.
Yeah.
You know, assessors, whatever.
We need before and after pics too.
Yeah. One more thing, sorry, didn't mean to dominate your turn. One force, while we're talking about staffing issues, we, or meaning our two commissions, can lead the dark sky application process. And shepherd them through, the city staff does not have to do that. If they want to, they can. But we are, anyway, I figured that was probably it. But we are able to do that on our own, that's a potential selling point for today's plan.
Is there a cost associated with this?
I don't think so.
Gosh, dang, that's great.
Yeah. I'll also look into that again, but I don't think so.
I think there's an application fee.
Maybe, I'll look into it again.
There's some nominal.
It's not huge, yeah.
Applications, yeah. But if we're at that point.
Say, out of the
it'd be
EC
worth
budget, okay, I'm not the treasurer anymore. Yeah. Yes, but I'm happy to do it again, I will move that we advance the this resolution to a second reading.
Yeah, I'll second the motion, sure.
Well written enough and
Thank you.
good read.
Thanks.
Okay, Martinez,
Yes.
Messer,
Yes.
Owens,
Yes.
Albright,
Yes.
Brown,
Yeah, yes.
Baldwin.
Yes.
Yes.
Great, okay, great. Well, thank you so much. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you all for that.
Being part of this conversation.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's great.
Also. I mean, I was like, very enlightening, you just said at the moment. Oh,
It is a good idea.
yeah. You know, we got vacancies.
No,
Oh, sure.
Speaking of which, that's the next
We got
thing
stomach.
on the list.
your business side.
All right, okay, well then we are gonna go ahead and keep moving through. Members of the public, you're welcome to go if you'd like to, but you can also stay and have cookies, so. You can only have one cookie for the road, no more.
Thank you. Like I said.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Thanks for taking the time for that conversation. I feel like it's a really exciting idea and I think there's a lot of different ways to make this possible, so. Cool. Great, okay, well then, let's see, oh, you may remember that there was an email that went through and there was some requested homework for the EC. So if you are suddenly feeling nervous that you don't remember that, I will clarify. So one of the things that I love about this group is that we each year sit down and think about what do we want to focus on next year? How do we want to spend our time? What things do we want to produce, whatever. And it's a lot of fun. And we have a bunch of new commissioners that are within their first couple of years of being on EC right now. And so my pitch was to have folks come in tonight. And I'm not gonna make you go around and say it, but I would love if you would volunteer. My request was to have like one or two topics that is for you top of mind right now as far as environmental or sustainability or, you know, whatever way you kind of want to shape it. But a theme that makes sense for the EC to be thinking about. And ideally, it'd be a topic that you personally are interested in. Part of what we do in the coming year is identify, are there things we want to do? And having people who care about that topic is super important for making it happen. So if we don't have anyone who's into the light pollution topic, it's not gonna go anywhere because there's no one who's just like waking up going, let's have these conversations, which is great. So I'd love if any of you have any thoughts on a topic that really matters to you. It's not committing at all, but it's just putting it out on the table for us to let percolate a little. And ideally, my request was, is there any kind of like small action that you associate with that idea? That could be something we think about if we want to put it on the list for the coming year or even in the coming months. Does that make sense?
So my idea is item B. I really think it's important that this commission, expand the efforts of outreach. And we can talk about that at IB if you want, but, I discussed with the city, they've given us a green light to do outreach and create promotional materials. And my thought is we could put these in like cafes, we could put them, in employee room, break rooms, we could, anywhere where there might be avid environmentalists found, that's where we should be targeting. So, but we can discuss that in D if you like.
I love
I
it.
can, piggyback on that a little bit, because one of the thoughts I had was specifically targeting outreach, because a lot of the stuff we've done previously is like at big events where we get to talk to individuals, but trying to target like groups as a whole. Whether it's like I know Carrie, you've mentioned a few times, I'm trying to talk to churches or things like that, but something where we could mobilize theoretically a large group of people at one time, or at least like get them all on the hook for something at one time if we get the whole group involved. And figure out ways to do that,
Yeah.
kind of like group outreach a little more effectively.
Cause kind of my bugbear about this is that at 3/4 the measurement, 3/4 the capacity, we're running at 3/4 the strength. Like if we added 4 more people, the amount of things we could do as a group
Yeah.
would be that much stronger. So I think like it should be kind of a priority to get to at least close to full strength as possible.
Yes.
Yeah, it becomes something that allows us to more easily commit to tabling. And also to introduce new ideas, new reports.
We also don't have to like be, concerned every time we meet whether or not we can reach quorum and really conduct business.
That's the joke. That's great. Okay, so I like that. I like that y'all are thinking about how we just are a presence in our community and how we're engaging people a bit more. Great. Are there other things people want to contribute?
I may or may not have understood the assignment properly. So things that I was thinking about was just the importance of native plants and trying to preserve mature trees, because I love how much planting the city does, but I hate seeing big trees get cut down. Those aren't specifically like action oriented for us. Those are just two things I'm thinking about
That's
that
great.
may or may not, shape some kind of future endeavor. The only related possible action item that came to mind was maybe it would be possible to collaborate, whether it's with Canopy or any other local groups, to see if we could target plantings within a corridor of our connectivity map. Like see if we could be, collaborate in that way, be strategic with plantings, whether it's trees or anything else or different groups, churches, schools, whoever, to kind of look at what we already know about areas that we consider, priority green spaces for connectivity and see if we can't harness any other partners into helping plant in those areas specifically.
Piggyback again. Because bringing up Canopy and like partnering with them to try and like help find places to plant things that would help with have that connectivity plan. And the other idea I had was like trying to find ways to be a facilitator between like the community and things like the Hoosier River Watch or the weed wrangles or anything like that, figuring out how to like we can use our role of like, we know what all's going on.
Yeah.
We know you're a person here talking to us. Why don't you go do these other things that would help the environment and the community? Here's all these opportunities and things.
So you're talking about getting our commissioner announcements in front of other groups.
Yes.
I love it. That's great. Nice. Other thoughts from folks? Other things that are like top of mind for you? Okay, I have one then. And this is a little bit because of my involvement with the radio station, but I just talked to somebody from the Plastic Reduction Alliance. It's a nonprofit up in the Valparaiso area. And they're basically from my understanding, really the only organization of their type for Indiana. And it's around, they do stuff with education, they do stuff with like cleaning up at the dunes, they're kind of led by some researchers, so they do a lot about looking into like microplastics, nanoplastics and things like that. But as you may know, Indiana has that awesome law that makes it so that we can't preemptively ban plastic bag use or I guess fine for plastic bag, whatever. There are a lot of things that are, I think, right in front of us that can be ways to reduce unnecessary plastic use. And I think that some of the even legislation around plastic use or non-plastic use are things that I'd be interested in like talking about because it is, I think, a very timely topic and something that we really there's a lot of people in Bloomington, I think, that care about it. So for me, I think plastic is something that we've not talked about before, but it's something I think about constantly. So that's a topic for me. And I think collaboration is the name of the game with this group. We're volunteering our time. We do not need to invent things from scratch when there are people or organizations who are already either leading the way or very interested in collaborating. The other thing that I've been thinking about, and I don't really have like a action for it, but it's something I want to think about as a group, is the environmental implications of AI. I think about it more than I think about plastic, which is a whole lot, but it's something that I would be interested in having a conversation about. Is that something that we want to make a statement about? Is it something that we want to talk about and that we want the city or council to be aware of? Is it something that we want to have, I don't know, any either stance or recommendations or maybe like guiding, I don't know, concepts or philosophies, anything like that. I think about it all the time, and that's something that if somebody said, could we do something, I would say, heck yeah. So those are my two topics.
For what it's worth, before their summer recess, the council did pass a resolution about AI and basically, like, I don't remember the phrasing. It was Councilmember Rollo who proposed it, and he had experts available and a lot of other stuff, but I think they unanimously passed, it wasn't exactly a moratorium, but it was a resolution kind of opposing this careless expansion of AI and like data centers and stuff.
Do you
So
know, was it like data center specific stuff, or was it like integrating AI technology into city stuff?
Yeah,
I was gonna say
Is that
I
it?
watched the meeting, but I can't remember all the specifics.
I was there,
Yeah.
I'm like trying to go back in my notes.
Right.
But it's more along the lines of what you just said
Okay. All right,
about the use of
How we-
AI in city operations.
okay,
I know the Hoosier Environmental Council, they put together a lot of materials on
Yeah.
like data center stuff, cause it's been a front of mind issue.
yeah,
Well, yeah, so I don't think the resolution the city council passed was, you know, environment first, everything else second, but I know it was a consideration. I know that it was mentioned, the environmental harms as well as other societal harms, so.
I know it's,
Could be something to look back at and find the text of that resolution and see if, not that that would like satisfy what you're looking for, but at least it'd be a jumping off point, be like, oh, hey, I see you guys just did this. Can we keep talking about it, and especially the environmental impacts?
yeah, and I think that like data centers is a whole conversation, and then AI is also a conversation outside of that too. so.
it's definitely something that's like front of mind for public people, cause I had
Yeah.
a landowner in Terre Haute almost blow up at me this week, cause he thought my family was data center. I had to talk him down.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, and it's really interesting, I find it, I will pass the mic to whoever else wants to share. But I think it's really interesting that there's so many people who from an individual basis have their own personal, here's what I hate or fear or know is dangerous or whatever it is. But then as soon as it kind of moves into a larger body, it gets a lot more nebulous as far as what is okay, what are we talking about, what are alternatives, what are hard lines, what are all of those things. So I just find it super interesting, and I think that there are a lot of different conversations that the EC could have if we want to, so.
I think my other part of that is, you know, people will say, I don't want the data center, but at the same time, I'll hop on the computer, go to some AI platform.
Uh-huh.
You know, hey, help me with this problem, with this
Yeah.
question, at the same time, I don't say I'm gonna want it right here.
That's exactly right, and then
That's-
what community does get this,
Right.
you know, imposed on them, and what is that for, I know we don't say the EJ word out loud here, but we, you know. It is definitely a concern in that way too, of which communities are being,
Yeah.
put in that harmful situation.
It's a very not in my backyard position.
Yeah, definitely gotta be. I dedicate a whole meeting, we just having that conversation.
Yeah.
Figure out If we wanna have, make a statement, but like laying out that
Mhm.
conviction as well would be a very.
One thing about data centers.
Yeah.
There was a state law recently passed that there's a tax incentive to convert old mines into data centers, and you know what we have around here? Quarries.
So much glory.
And that was done by Cook, who's from Lawrence County, also a bunch of quarries. And so, yeah. That is a concern of mine of what they could possibly do here, but I'm pretty sure there's already a moratorium on data centers in Bloomington that was like passed like 3 years ago or something. We only have
It
one.
was expiring this summer, though.
Oh, great.
That noise, I think that was part of what prompted even
Oh,
Councilmember Rella's was more about AGI than anything else, but like, I think that was. To put it back on the table as well, to redraw attention to it, because it was either a 2 or 3 year moratorium, whatever it was running out.
There's only one here. Data center.
Yeah, I feel like
It's
Bloomington.
one like an out.
It's in the university. The university has a data center over there next to the hospital. It's been there for years.
Yeah,
And it's not,
red.
it's not that big.
It's more of just like a building with a supercomputer in it.
Yeah.
my Understanding.
Yeah,
It's not like a
One
massive
building
sprawling
with
campus.
big red two or whatever it is.
I feel like in the city limits, it's probably a very attractive
Right.
spot for a data center, because you know, they want lots of land for cheap and.
Yeah, and also Bloomington is its own, yeah, it's true, yeah. I think that that's kind of a part of it too, is what makes sense for us to really try and make a statement, and where is it like, sure, fine, make that statement, but that's probably not the biggest concern or the, you know, the highest impact that we're gonna feel.
County maybe, but
Yeah,
yeah, we're. Mostly city, so.
okay, cool, well, thanks for entertaining this conversation, I appreciate that. Are there other things that people have kind of on their mental list that are standing out to them these days that will be worth continuing to kick around in conversation?
Yeah, I kind of was a bit more. When I was thinking about it, I was thinking about where we're standing currently with outreach, and you know, we talked about more outreach, but with where we're at now with a lot of our stuff coming through these tabling events. I kind of focus a little bit more on that and kind of what we could provide at a tabling event. For me, water is kind of what interests me. So, you know, runoff, related, stream related, you know, I think one of the big ones is, you know, people don't always know where stormwater goes. You know, I think easy materials would be something like, you know, the layout of Bloomington and where all the different areas flow to. So you can see your neighborhood and say, oh, all of my runoff goes to Jackson Creek, or all of my runoff goes here. And it just kind of makes it more kind of relevant to you, that anything that goes down this drain in front of my house is going to end up in, you know, the creek that runs through the playground that we go to in the afternoon with the kids. Something like that, it just makes it a little bit more in the front of the mind on, you know, all your grass clippings or all the stuff you're leaving in the street, or all like, you know, the candy wrapper you drop, all that's gonna end up there at some point. So just, you know, simple handouts for information on, you know, what goes where and what's bad to go in those places, I think would be an easy kind of educational material. You may have done something like that in the past when I looked through before. I didn't see that specifically, but
Not like that, no.
you
Great,
know, I
yeah.
know some places will put like physical placards on storm drains and say this drains to X location. That's a little bit more, you know, than we probably have the ability to do, but still providing that information just in a, you know, a more casual.
It sounds like a really cool idea, especially just for like a big map where someone could look at the other neighborhoods too and take pictures of theirs or their
Yeah,
friends.
I
or
mean,
whatever.
there's a lot of different areas where our stormwater runs to and where it
Yeah,
ends up, so.
Be like an awesome visual aid, even if not a pamphlet, so.
Yeah.
So like that idea.
Realize that like there's water running, there's a river, there's a creek running under downtown and stuff.
I know that in the past, we've had so many great ideas, but in the past, we've talked about different grant opportunities, and I know that the city does offer grants in lots of different ways, and one thing that, because we are a city commission, it would be potentially thinking about how can we help provide things like this with then an easy avenue to, hey, you're from this neighborhood, you're from this part of town, you can apply for a grant, or your, you know, whatever organization, whatever can apply for this grant, we can help you know how to do that to mark your storm drains, or to, you know, whatever it would be, so that might be something we can do.
Speaking of grants, that reminds me, I don't think we've talked about this, but next year probably the 319 grants.
Yeah.
We can do septic with them now.
Oh. Okay, I'm gonna put that on the list. You didn't bring it with for that, but I'm gonna put that.
Yeah. So that's closed out for this year, but for next year, because we were talking about that and that kind of was immediately what we circled as the biggest issue, and now we can use the money.
Cool.
They know that changed this year.
Well, that's perfect timing then. Okay, cool. Great. Justin, that was a great idea. Do you have anything else that you wanted to share? Before I pass it around?
Good, pass it.
Cool. Other folks have anything that they've been thinking about or that they wanna toss out to the larger group?
I don't have anything terribly specific, but kind of similar to Matt's, I've been killing my grass and planting native plants, and it's so fun. Because I have to mow less, I get these full flowers and bulbs and stuff, and feel like spreading awareness that it's like not really that hard to do, like, I put cardboard down, I wait 2 weeks, I lift it. A week later, I put it back down, grass is dead, plants up, just raising awareness that it's not that hard to do. It'll save you money and time, and it's good for the environment, it's like.
And it looks good.
And it looks, you get flowers, you get.
People in my neighborhood, I'm very jealous of what they've done with their like front yards, like they're very aspirational for me, sorry. No, you're good, but.
It reminds me of the Eco Heroes theme that I think you suggested, kill your lawn. Yeah, as our Eco Heroes theme, which is a fun one.
It's like,
Yes,
there's some areas that are very successful and some that have a lot of grass mixed in, but guess what? It's still better than just turf grass.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah. Okay, cool.
I think she's gonna say
I
something
thought
about
of
birds.
something too.
Yeah.
I didn't come prepared to come in, but I was thinking that Justin's talking about with stormwater. And that one thing that I see a lot on the ground are cigarette butts. And I was thinking of like, what is the possibility that having like cigarette canisters downtown, like we have trash cans. We can't stop people from smoking, they're going to smoke. Like, what's the possibility of like putting those alongside trash cans downtown?
Did they used to have those? I can't
I
remember.
swear there used to be,
And then maybe just replace them when they
Sounds like
swapped out the
something
trash or
that's not
something.
I don't see any downtown
Oh.
where people like.
Yeah, especially
And
downtown,
people in
yeah,
Bloomington smoke.
yeah,
Like, that is just.
especially outside of all the stuff. Because it's a fire hazard.
Yeah,
I'm assuming
I mean-
they put it out first, and then.
yeah, and it's the same concept like with trash cans, like if you just have more trash cans available, people are just more likely to just toss it in that rather
Yeah.
than just toss it on the ground.
Yeah, I think people don't wanna like have to sit and wait for their put out cigarette to cool down and then be something they can walk over to, like, there's, I think
Yeah,
it,
There's like studies about that.
yeah.
You just
Yeah.
drop it on the ground and stomp on it, and then you pick it up and fill it with. trash.
Pretty solid fall through. But that's a good question of, are there studies about kind of like
Yeah,
the
of like
timeline?
where to put them, hotspots.
Oh, that's a cool idea.
Some cities also have for the watersheds signs delineating when you're crossing the next watershed, and it's awareness.
Yeah.
We have two watersheds, well, two major watersheds split in the town that we could do that for.
I know, I'm always like, that's like my fun fact. I'm just like, you know what? Here's something, and feel like, what are you saying about watershed? But I think it's, yeah, I think it's kind of cool, like that kind of concept of just like the things that build awareness in somebody where they realize they don't know what that thing is or they've not seen it before and
So we get to
curiosity.
mostly just slap a bunch of signs on 17th.
Yeah.
And that's about the line.
Okay, well, I know that we've got more things on the agenda still, but are there any other thoughts people want to share? I really appreciate y'all taking time to talk through this. It's kind of fun just thinking like, where are people's heads at and what do you like?
And it's also sort of a head start on the planning meeting, like we can be thinking,
Bingo.
right, for when that rolls around in November or whatever, and say, okay, how do we build on all this?
Mhm.
And or bring new things.
Yeah. And this is in the minutes, and I know y'all are taking this too, so keep these top of mind. Yeah, anything else people want to add to this section before we move to the next round of talking points? All right, okay, moving down to the commission vacancy discussion. Well, we already talked about it a little bit, but this is something that I know a few of us have just kind of like chatted about as far as we have some vacancies, which is totally fine and normal, but it does make it hard when we want to have initiatives that we just don't have enough bodies or enough brains or enough time in the day. A lot of us, work or have obligations that, make it hard for us to spread ourselves too thin. So this is just a quick moment to refocus on conversations we're having, people in our communities that might be a good fit. And I really appreciate some of y'all coming with that being something that's on your mind a lot. That's really helpful. And I think that part of it is remembering to kind of think outside the box of thinking about the people that you know who when you bring up water, they've got something to say. When you bring up plastic, they've got something to say. When you bring up native plants, they're really excited to talk about that. You run into them at the native plant sale every year, and it's a buddy you've had for years, but that kind of thing where the EC doesn't have to be any one thing. I mean, we have certain things that we fulfill as a body, but we are not really beholden to a single specific, you know, course or track, which means as we populate with people who have different interests and experiences and trainings and roles in our community, I mean, there's so many different ways that we contribute because of who we all are. I would love to just kind of like remind everyone here that besides needing to live within the city limits at this time, it's really just kind of who wants to be here and are they dedicated to caring for our environment and having time and ideas to help make that happen. So yeah, I know, Matt, you've done a great job of just being relentless about like, did you know that you have open spots, which I really, really appreciate.
Every meeting.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously the application process is pretty straightforward and as we get cycled through applications, you know, it's something that we're always looking for people to put the name on the list.
Yeah, we just also contribute, just kind of think outside the box. There might, like, obviously, we value expertise. If you know any specialists in any field, that's great, but there might be a ton of involved people in your community or teachers, or like there might be people you never thought of that, oh yeah, they're actually really passionate about this thing and might like to volunteer a little bit each month. So yeah, just think about it. We over the last couple of years, I think we dipped down to 8 members once before. We got back up to 11, and then it's just been kind of bad circumstances of people rolling off here lately. So we're down to 8 again. I think there might be like a perception that we always struggle with quorum, but I think the reality is it has a little bit more to do with the definition of quorum than it does with getting people to be on this body. However, the more people we get on this commission, the less we have to worry about anyone's interpretation of quorum. So if you know anybody, you might give them a nudge.
Yeah, easy peasy, or they can come and they can talk to us, or they can come as a member of the public who doesn't even know that we are now going to start. But yeah, I mean, it's very open and we're all, you know, we all can talk to our own experiences and obviously it's really flexible group, so. Cool, so share with your friends and neighbors. Great, okay, well, that's all I'm gonna say for that. The next item on the list is social media, so we are currently at a place where we have to approve social media posts. I know we talked about what this could look like differently, but if nothing else, I passed this along to Jackie because this is something that the B City Committee put together, very cute little thing, but we have to get a vote before we can post it on the EC's Facebook page. Okay.
Sorry.
Great, so. Simple enough, how would folks feel about us sharing this on our Facebook page?
And then you share it on Facebook.
Second.
Could we please vote on if it's folks
Yeah.
are comfortable with that?
Carly moved.
No, I won't.
Mitchell.
Okay, Lester,
Yes.
Owens.
Yes.
Albright,
Yes,
Brown,
Yes.
Aldi,
Yes.
Geiser,
Yes.
Martinez.
Yes.
awesome. It's gonna show up in our feed. I can't wait for you all to watch it and share with your friends and mention that we are also accepting new commissioners. So there you go. Okay, well, that's it for me, and I know that we're moving on to the old business, which there is none of, which means we're just zipping through. We now have commissioner announcements. A reminder, your announcements may be environmentally based, they may be about something you're doing in your professional world, they might be something you just want to share with us and also everyone watching Cats. It could be really your choice of what you want to share. But yeah, I'll open it up.
I don't know, this was just weird and random. I spent all week in Terre Haute doing, it was our first week of field season. We're doing an intensive watershed on the south side of Terre Haute. And I didn't realize before this week that you could just find whole chunks of coal, just fresh coal in a stream. So yeah, now I have a bunch of coal, because we brought some home because why wouldn't we? But yeah, it was a extremely weird watershed because it is a bunch of like former like coal mine activity. And I know last year we did some sampling in it and talked to some of the landowners. It was like, yeah, after the mine shut down, like one of the pharma companies started just dumping their trash in the mines. And that got cleaned up, but it's still weird. But yeah, I just thought that was neat that you guys might like to know that you can find coal just straight up.
You should stash that away and then put it in your kids'
Oh,
stockings.
that's-
Yeah, but if that is nothing like fit.
Every year for the rest of time.
And then when they cry, say, I'm just kidding, here
Not like
are your
2
actual
handfuls.
stockings.
I am ready.
Other folks, other things to share?
Yeah, I guess I'll share, with y'all. I actually quit my job.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I'm actually, after about 10 years, no longer going to be a scientist. So I'm having a bit of a shift. I'm actually going to end up spending a lot more time with Matt. I'm attending, the law school now.
Oh,
Yes,
congrats.
sure, I'm not.
That's really
Mhm.
exciting.
Yeah.
Did you do this because of Matt? Or
Because
like,
of
no,
Matt, yeah.
because I wanna. I'm the
No,
same.
this has been a while coming, but yeah, so.
That's really exciting.
But I'm still very committed to the environmental commission and I still have some expertise, so happy to share with you.
Love it. Do you start classes, I guess, this fall then?
Yep, it's all right, August, it's coming up.
That's so exciting. Well, congratulations. That's really fun.
Be a big shift for me, so.
Right, yeah, a little bit of a change there. That's cool. Well, that's cool. I can't wait to hear kind of how this world and that world intersect for you, or just how
Oh, yeah.
it takes to move. Nice.
Mhm.
You guys hear that,
It's gonna
you?
give your science background some
Yeah.
teeth.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of ways I can apply my science background to, the law, so.
It reminds me of Virgil Carson, which was a scientist turned writer.
That's right,
Yeah.
yes, I don't stream.
Yeah.
Other folks, other announcements?
I guess I just wanna thank everybody who worked on the light pollution resolution. I know that was, I mean, fortunately, Zach gave us a great running start, but that was still a bit of a lift, and I'm excited to see where it's going, our joint meeting. And I also wanna thank Heidi for bringing snacks.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fantastic. Well, this is not environmentally related, but it's Bloomington related. Next Saturday night, the 25th at 7 o'clock at the Busker Chumley is the annual Girls Rock Bloomington Showcase. So Girls Rock Bloomington, as you may or may not know, is a nonprofit here in town for girls, trans, non-binary kids to learn to play musical instruments and write an original rock song and then perform it on the big stage at the Busker with their little 7-year-old friends. And it is amazing, wonderful. And I volunteer with them all year long, but I definitely do the camp as well. So a week from Saturday, at the Busker, it's by donation. I think it's like 10 bucks or something that they asked for, but it is just a night of very cute little weirdo musicians doing their thing. So I invite you to come, or you can follow them on social media and just get it from a distance and you can mute it if you need to, but it's actually a really, really great organization, so. Anybody else? Well, in conclusion, our next meeting is August 20. As you know, we love having as many bodies in the chairs as possible. If you know you cannot make that meeting, please shout it out. If we need to reschedule, please raise your hand. And that will kind of help us make sure we're being effective.
Next meeting, August 18th, special meeting with,
Mhm.
yeah, technically
Because-
right before the 20th,
Yeah.
so.
Which
Same week.
I don't know if that's.
I don't know if it's
on the
officially on
website
the
or anything,
books, but I
yeah.
just hate.
It's not official yet.
Right.
Okay, okay. Yeah, but our monthly meeting, obviously,
Yes.
next monthly meeting's the 20th. But yeah. Great, well then, in that case.
And motion we adjourn.
Second.
Nice job, Adam. Okay, great. Thanks, y'all. Really appreciate
Adam,
it.
what to say?